Imagine a key that unlocks a special world, a world of stories, history, and unique ideas. Every language is like that key, but sometimes a key is lost forever. When the last person who speaks a language passes away, that language becomes extinct. It's a quiet tragedy, not just a loss of words, but the loss of a culture's unique way of seeing the world. In this video, we will look at 10 languages that have gone silent. They show us what was lost and what we must protect. We begin in the ancient land of Mesopotamia. Over 4,000 years ago, this is where we find Sumerian, famous for being one of the first written languages on Earth. The Sumerians wrote in cuneiform, wedge, shapes pressed into soft clay tablets. It recorded their laws, their myths, and their daily lives. Even when the Sumerian people stopped speaking it, the language lived on for centuries, used by scholars and priests for important texts, much like Latin was later in Europe. The language that eventually took over from Sumerian was Akkadian. This was the official tongue of massive empires like Assyria and Babylonia. For nearly 2,000 years, Akkadian was the language of power and trade. Across the Middle East, its slow death began with the rise of newer empires. A different language, Aramaic, slowly became more popular. By the time of the Roman Empire, the mighty Akkadian language was silent, leaving behind a monumental written history. This might surprise you. The original language of the powerful Roman Empire, Classical Latin, is extinct. The Latin spoken by Julius Caesar and Cicero is no one's native language today. Latin didn't die suddenly. It changed. As the Roman Empire spread and broke apart, the everyday, spoken version, called Vulgar Latin, began to sound different in every region. Over hundreds of years, these changes became the modern Romance languages we know today: Spanish, French, Italian, and others. Let's travel north to the world of the Vikings. Old Norse was the bold language of the fierce warriors, who traveled the seas from the 8th to the 15th century. It gave English words like sky, knife, and take. Like Latin, it gradually shifted. It's the grandparent of modern languages like Norwegian, Danish, Swedish, and Icelandic. If you read an ancient Viking saga today, you are reading texts written in Old Norse. Coptic is the last form of the language, spoken by the people of ancient Egypt. It was written using a modified Greek alphabet and was the common language in Egypt for centuries after the time of the pharaohs. When Arab armies conquered the region in the 7th century, Arabic became the language of government and everyday life. By the 17th century, Coptic was no longer spoken daily. Today, it survives only in the prayers and ceremonies of the Coptic Christian Church. This language is a chilling story of climate and isolation. Greenlandic Norse was spoken by the Viking settlers who built colonies in Greenland. Starting in the 10th century, for 500 years, they kept their language alive in a harsh, distant land. In the 15th century, the colonies disappeared, likely due to a change in climate and an inability to adapt. The people and their language vanished with them. Only a few mysterious inscriptions remain. Not every lost language stays lost. Manx, a beautiful Celtic language from the Isle of Man, officially became extinct in 1974, when its last known native speaker, Ned Madrill, died. But thanks to determined locals who had preserved recordings and lessons, Manx is now experiencing a revival. It is taught in schools, and new generations are speaking it. It is a rare and wonderful sign of hope that a silent language can speak again. The story of Ayak, a Native American language from the coast of Alaska, is a recent tragedy. The pressures of colonization and the dominance of English pushed the language to the edge. In 2008, Ayak went extinct with the death of its last fluent native speaker, a woman named Marie Smith Jones. She worked tirelessly with linguists to record every single word and story, making sure the knowledge was saved, even if the voice was gone. Aka Bo was one of the 10 unique languages spoken by the great Andamanese people in India. This community suffered terribly after contact with outsiders, who brought disease and conflict. The final native speaker of Aka Bo, a woman named Boa Sr., passed away in 2010. She left behind traditional songs and a lifetime of culture that now only exist in the notes and recordings made by researchers. Our final language is Wapo, an indigenous tongue from the Napa Valley region of California. The Spanish, Mission System, and later American, Settlement led to the near-total loss of the Wapo, people's traditional life and language. Speakers often felt forced to switch to English to survive. The passing of the last fluent Wapo speakers meant that countless names for local plants, animals, and places, a deep understanding of the environment, were lost forever. The 10 voices we've met, from the cuneiform of Sumerian to the recent silence of Ayak, teach us a critical lesson. Language extinction is a constant threat. Every loss takes away a piece of our shared human history. But the story of Manx shows us what is possible. By supporting language documentation, teaching, and revitalization, we can help preserve the unique knowledge held by the languages that are still speaking today. To save a language is to save a way of life, a worldview, and a future chapter in the story of humanity. Because every single voice is precious.